we were connected to talk about the new film, They Live in the Gray, which is out next week. When did you know that it was going to Shudder?
Last year, I think right at the end of summer.
Yeah,
because we were in talks with Sam and Emily, and they had watched the film and they had loved it. And when we knew that
they were the right place,
it was the right
film.
home for our movie. We have been just so excited since the end of last summer, and finally it's coming out, next Thursday. And I can't think of a better place than Shudder to release this movie. Yeah.
It really shows the evolution of things with filmmaking, horror, etc. Because 15 years ago, the term made-for-TV movie was frightening. Like, oh, making a movie for people, that's gross. But Shudder's this fantastic destination. Do either of you have a memory of when you first learned about Shudder?
Yeah, I think it was on
when we made our first feature. We made a first feature, Bedeviled, back in 2015, and it was released in 2016. We had heard about Shudder, but we had already sold our film to Voltage and to Freestyle, and we had heard about Shudder, and I think it was just at the time gaining traction, like, oh, this new place, with horrors and thrillers. It's like Netflix, but just only for horror fans. And so we always, had that in the back of our minds, like, okay, you know what, that's probably a place that we could always, go to. And flash forward, I don't know how many years now.
Yeah, here we are.
And here we are, and seeing that, how the growth of their platform. Wow, like they have their own originals, they have their own TV shows.
They cater to really a wide audience. That you don't have to just be a horror fan. There's they have great content there for everyone. From your hardcore horror fans to someone who's just looking for a good film to watch. They have all of that, or those who are looking for classics. It's everything. It's a whole spectrum.
Yeah,
so it definitely is. There was a great George Romero thing I recently watched that gets the original horror fans. Then there's the originals. These days, there's your content. When did you actually film They Live in the Gray? I could not figure that out through the cursory IMDb search, the press release reading. I had no idea if it was an entirely pre-COVID movie or a partially circa COVID movie.
So
pre-COVID.
Production happened pre-COVID. We shot it in the summer of 2019, but when we were in post-production,
that was during COVID.
Right when we started the sound mix, we went into the lockdown, and so we had to actually do our sound
mix right after
remotely.
our second day there. They're like, we just went,
we went remote. So most of all of post-production was done during the lockdown.
And when did Michelle come into the production process of the whole thing? Did you know outright when the script was being written up, hey, Michelle, starring role, or is it a traditional audition?
We kind of had, we met Michelle back in 2013 at the LA Asian Pacific Film Festival. And so we always had in the back of our minds, like, okay, she's a very talented actress. Maybe there's some possibility in the future that
we weren't sure she was going to say yes to the script.
We weren't sure. So we wrote the character, but when we were done with the script, we approached her.
Yeah.
And
went out for lunch. And she read the script. And we were thankful that she loved it and she was willing to come on board. And we knew that if we were able to get her on, she would bring her A game, and she would, she would really bring this character to life. Because we dragged the character of Claire, through all kinds of craziness. And so, but we knew that Michelle would be able to do that character justice, and she did.
Yeah.
So a cast and crew that actually likes each other.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's, I guess it's surprising, right?
And the film comes out next week, but as you mentioned earlier, you knew for about a year that it was coming to Shudder. Is the next Bang Brothers film allowed to be announced, or do you know what you're working on next?
Oh, we do. We're working on a few ideas.
We're working on a few things.
I don't know if we can announce them yet.
Yeah, but, we just signed a deal with
Deadline.com didn't say it's okay, so you can't.
Yeah. So we're just waiting for the other folks to see if they'll do a press release. So we can't really say too much about what we're working on.
But we are definitely looking into our next feature. And we're hoping to do something sort of similar in the vein of this one too.
And even with this film, we leave it kind of open at the very end, and our hope is that, and we've been talking, about Claire's character and where she can go from here, and what other obstacles she has to face if we were to continue on this this story. And so we're excited. We hope that it could be one of the things that we do. Yeah,
one of the things we do. Does that mean potentially we can get to that point where it's like executive produced by the Vang brothers, and then you guys delegate the projects to the other people, Duplass style?
I mean, I guess we'll know when we get there.
You'll know when you get there. Well, it's cool to hear that you're already thinking about the next project. Have you two always been able to work together well?
Yeah. And that's a question we get all the time because we're brothers. But
every time we get on a movie set, people are always like, "Okay,
when are they gonna fight?"
They've got a bet going on. When are these guys going to cut each other's throats? And the funny thing is, I don't know, like for the both of us, it's almost like a yin yang kind of deal. And so I don't think I would be in this if Burlee wasn't doing it, and I think it's vice versa. So I think having each other's back and having each other to bounce ideas.
I think we're able to work a lot faster, just more efficient.
Yeah.
So you can like come up with an idea right away, and if the two you don't agree on it, then that's not that great, and then you move on to the next thing. So for us, it's like
it actually makes decision making a lot easier too, because you have that extra pair of eyes to see whatever flaws that you might not see, and so it helps us to be efficient.
It allows us to just work with other people too, with our team, because we're so used to working together that even if we enlarge that circle, we're able to continue to work.
Yeah.
Are there other Vangs in the entertainment or horror worlds?
I don't think so. I
don't think so. Not that I know of. Yeah, I don't think so.
Is that by choice? Or in other words, are you the first risk takers to kind of go all in on entertainment among the family?
Possibly,
yeah.
I think so. I think so.
Unless there's a Vang out there somewhere, but but to our knowledge, I think we're the
And a super generic question here, but it intrigues me. What was the first moment that you kind of realized that horror was not just a hobby, but it was a career?
I think it's just our fascination with just the genre. I mean,
because I think it predates film. It's like our
I see
fascination.
The Evil Dead poster behind there. That my wife has some of that up here as well. I get it.
we saw that when we were kids. I think Burlee was 9 and I was 7.
Yeah,
and
it sort of traumatized us like for life, and it's something that we
always return to your traumas. You end up loving them and cherishing them, and so
I think horror film is very therapeutic for us.
And it's I think it's one of the more pure genres, I would say, because like you think about it, as kids, kids grow up listening to like fairy tales, and and they're, a lot of times they're quite scary, and so I think sometimes as adults we grow out of that and we forget to have to take joy in the things that scare us.
Yeah.
And so for us it's like,
and it transcends culture, I think.
And as long as we love horror, we will continue to stay young.
Hey, I get the man-child thing. I'm wearing an Andrew Dice Clay shirt. You see all the pop culture behind me, but there's certain interests that you have. For example, I on and off have loved professional wrestling most of my life. I never for a second thought I could work in professional wrestling and earn my living there. I just knew to stand back and go, well, that's a fun thing. Yet horror is, I'm not saying it's all about the money here, but there's jobs, there's careers. So it's interesting anytime somebody's able to make that transition from this is interesting to this is what I'm going to do every day. And you both did it.
Yeah. You just got to go after what you
just got to,
like you love,
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
There you go. Well, 2 last questions for you, and then you're free. And the first one is, I find that horror people generally have the best taste in music. Do you have a favorite band that both of you could mention or are allowed to say?
I mean, I think it's changed over the course of my life, but I think for the longest time when I was growing up, I think listening to Metallica and Guns N' Roses, Megadeth. I mean, we went to a concert when I think I was only 16. It was, I forget which Metallica concert it was, but it was out in San Francisco, Candlestick Park. There was Mudvayne, Metallica. Who else was there? oh, it was a crazy lineup. So I mean, I was a big metalhead. I played electric guitar as a kid too. You know, I had my own, you know, garage band and everything. So yeah, I did all of that. You know, what growing up in the 80s and 90s. That's what you did.
Yeah,
but
I heard both Megadeth and Metallica, which we all know there was a rivalry. But was that a rivalry between you two as to who's better?
No, you know, because, you know, I think, you know, for us, we're very open to, you know, all kinds of, you know, I mean, the older I get, you know, the more I find myself listening to things I didn't listen to as a kid, you know.
Yeah.
And so, like, you know, some days I might just want to listen to something from Bob Dylan, you know,
and the Beatles, you know, with me.
Sometimes I want to hear Elton John, you know, and so like it's you know, it's whatever sounds good at the moment, you know.
So actual growth, I'm hearing.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And calling everything back to Shudder and how great Shudder and AMC Plus are and all that. Besides your new movie, They Live in the Gray, what's something else that we should be watching on Shudder? Do you have like a second pick or a second best thing on there?
Second pick.
That's really putting you on the spot here, but hey, a heck of a library.
Yeah. Well, I haven't seen it yet.
I really enjoyed Mandy, with Nicolas Cage and what's that? Something Gorman. I'm not saying
I haven't seen it yet, but it's I think Shudder released the George A. Romero film that he had done. He was, I think, hired by a Lutheran church to make this film. I forget the name of it. It just the key art looks so creepy. I haven't had a chance to watch it. I've heard a lot about it, and so you know that's the thing that I'm going to, you know, put on queue and watch next. Yeah,
cool. And the last thing that I want to know, and take the time to think about this one. When I think of you guys, I think of people who not only crossed that horror interest into a career, people who are self-sufficient DIY, you know, writing and directing, because most people, they can only write, they can only direct, they can only produce, but you manage to do it in-house, finish these projects at a reasonable, respectful pace. But we don't know much about you two besides what we've talked about, the old metal past and the horror fandom. We don't know a lot about you two as people. Is there anything that you wish more people knew about the Vang brothers in general?
Oh.
And if the answer is no, man, just see the movie, back off.
I write poetry and fiction.
Yes, very well published. Yes.
So
you know, I try to let other you know, Asian American folks know that there is also another field outside of engineering, law, and medicine. And the reason why I say that was because I finished my undergrad degree in molecular biology. And I did all the pre-med stuff. And then I said, you know what? I hate this. I want to go to film school. So I went to film school and started making movies. So to all the young boys and girls who don't think there's another pathway, another career, I'm saying, you know, there is, and just go with your gut feeling and go for it.
That's a good point there. I'd say 1 in 15 people in entertainment have a really high level degree that they shouldn't. Like when you find out that the singer of The Offspring has a PhD, you go, what? The guy who wrote Why Don't You Get a Job has a PhD. It happens. So that's really cool to hear. Molecular biology. Wow. Bottom line is, I'm looking forward to the next thing that comes from you guys. Keep up all the greatness, and thanks for the inspiration.
All right. Thank you.
All right,
thank you, Darren.
Paltrocast.